Hello guys, welcome back to the Beastie room. Now today is a really exciting day. We are about to start our new Beastie room project. The building, the outside building. And yeah, I can't wait to get going. We're waiting on the builders arriving and they should be here any moment, and then we will get on and go and do some work. So without further ado, check this out and see how well we got on. Well, here we go. This is day one of the build for the new Beastie room. This is something we have been waiting so long for. So yeah, it's so exciting. We are really excited about doing this. The camera actually makes it a funny angle. This is John, and he's one of our builders. And he's just checking out, making sure he's got the right place, I'm sure. Now, we're going to sort of like stick some of this stuff into fast forward. And basically what I done was I left the camera rolling all day long. And just tried to edit it down a little bit. But didn't really want to miss out any bits. Just wanted to make sure that you guys get to see the whole thing from the very beginning. And as you can see now, what they're doing is Tucker and John are, Tucker's the boss, that was him then. They are basically measuring out the area that the base is going to be put into. Now, as you can see there, we've had to move all my tanks and everything because they couldn't get a square off the house at one end. So I'd actually moved all this stuff thinking it would be out of their way, but it ended up being in their way. So we ended up having to move it all. And yeah, as you can see, it's a nice sunny day, sunny morning. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning. And the guys have come round and they're making a start. So we're basically going to run out string lines everywhere. And then that eventually will needs to be squared off. And we find out exactly where our building's going to be and where it's got to go. Now, unfortunately, as you can see there, we had to take the trees out. Now, I mean, they're conifer trees, so it's not such a major issue. But they're a decorative conifer. And it would have been nice to keep them. We couldn't transplant them. People have said about transplanting them, but they don't tend to do too well. Now, this is the worst bit. There goes camera lady's washing pole. She weren't too impressed with the idea of losing her washing line. So we're going to have to figure out a different way of getting around that. But, you know, upwards and onwards, we need to move on. So it had to go. Now, going to keep that. And it's interesting actually talking to the guys because we get to see everything that's coming on. And this is one of the things that really impressed me with Tucker. He's very transparent with, you know, what he says and what you're talking about and how you're going to go. We just had to get the oil cap off the chainsaw there because it was welded shut. And of course, this is all work that I used to do a lot of myself. So in some ways, it's probably a nightmare because whenever you're actually of a trade and you go to do a job at someone else's house who they were in the trade themselves, then obviously you're scrutinised all the way. And you know, I try and leave them just to get on and do their thing. I've got all the trust in the world with Tucker. He done my driveway out the front and we've been nothing but impressed with how he went about it. Now we're just leaving them guys out there with the measuring up. And this is now Jewsons have turned up. And as you can see, this is the driveway and the fencing and everything. This was all done by Tucker. The step in the right-hand bottom corner there. Everything. It was all done by Tucker. This was all grass and broken concrete when we moved in. And it was one of the first jobs we done was the driveway. And it's been left now for probably been down about 6 months. And I remember Tucker saying to me when it first went down, once it all settles and much of that shingle there, it's like a pea shingle, that will start working its way down and we will need to top it up a little bit. And as you can see there where we park and turn the cars, there's little patches there where it's been pushed down into it. And it's found its home now, so it's well settled. So we'll look at probably throwing another half a ton of shingle down there, spread it out, and that will just do the job. That will clean it up nicely. And now it's all in. There's also, we can also stain that fencing as well. So there's all things that need to be done. Now at the moment, obviously we're not worrying about that. We're worrying about getting our Beastie room up and running. And getting this delivery now finally on the driveway is just, oh, it's amazing. Another thing that's absolutely important here as well is I'd like to say a massive thank you to my bosses at T&L Transport. I work for a grab hire company, and we do all sorts of jobs, and this is where I met Tucker, in fact, was by doing grab jobs for him on other work jobs, projects that he was on. Now, without the help of my bosses, Lee and Emma, I would not be able to do this, because obviously we needed to be at home, and this is a busy time of year for us, so I really do appreciate the fact that they've allowed me this time off. And I run a really busy schedule anyway, so much of my holiday is used up doing shows and stuff like that, and short notice days off where I can nip off and get collections and things, and they are so understanding and have been really helpful. And in a lot of ways, you know, that's what's helped the channel get to where we are, is by having these people that are understanding and help us out, you know. And I mean, without their help, I'm going to be off for this week and next week, and you know, it's a big time to take away from work when we're in a busy time. So I really do appreciate it, and I'd like to say a massive thank you to them guys. They've made this whole project a whole lot more bearable. I can't tell you how much. It's just it's been a worry, but we're getting there now. Now, as you can see there now, we Juicens are taking all their stuff off. We sort of put it on fast forward, and I thought it'd be interesting just to show you guys just about how much gear has actually got to come in to do this project. Now what that's going there, that is a full pallet of ply sheets, 8x4 sheets they are, and that's a full pallet there, and that's not all of them. We've seen all the timber come in first. There's 2x6s, 2x4s, all different lengths and what have you. Here comes all the blocks and the brickwork for the footings and what have you. Everything is all coming off. You can still see that there's a big one that he's just about to lift off now. This is all insulation. Now this is Celotex, and we are using 50mm Celotex, and that's a full pallet on there. So an awful lot of Celotex. Now this Celotex will be used in the floor and also in the roof, and we have an entirely different insulation going in the walls, which is a fairly, I wouldn't say new, but it's still, people are still finding out about it. Here's the rest of the ply, more sheets of ply. As you can imagine, timber prices are absolutely through the roof at the moment. They have been since lockdown. I've just come out to inspect now, make sure everything's going all right. Tucker's come out, check, make sure everything's here, make sure it's all present and correct. And yep, he's checking his blocks, having a look, make sure it's all there. And it's important that we do this because obviously when your deliveries come, you expect it all to be there, but sometimes mistakes can happen. Here's the rest of our insulation. Now this is an insulation that will be used in the sides, and I forget the name of it now, but I will get back to the name of it, and we'll make a mention of it when we're putting it in the walls, because we will film it going into the walls and you will see what it is, and that will make a better explanation of actually how it works and what it does. But it's a very cool, clean insulation, and the trade are absolutely raving about it at the moment, so I'm hoping it's going to be just the ticket for what we want. Now we have put a lot of thought. There you go, all the screws and everything back on. Mr. Juicen's there photographing the delivery just to prove that he's actually left it all, so we don't phone up and say where's all our insulation gone, because it's very expensive stuff. So you know, they have to prove that they've actually delivered it, because there are some unscrupulous people out there. And again, this is something worth mentioning. If you're thinking of doing a build like this and you get your builders in, do please check them out. You know, get some references, for God's sake, get some references, because there are many cowboy builders out there. And some of Tucker's work has actually been in the past clearing up after some of these cowboy builders. So do make sure you get someone you can trust. And you know, after all, you're letting them into your home, and it's important that there's that trust there. So now, as you can see, while we've been out sorting out that delivery, John has been busy in the back, and he's now digging out the footing. Now we've got really hard, dry ground here, and the footing doesn't need to be massively deep. So we will be looking at around about 4 or 5 inch bed of muck going down, and this is what our blocks will be laid on, and this will be more than enough for our building. Our building isn't going to be massively heavy. It's not like we're building a house, so it's going to be of a reasonable, you know, weight. It's not going to be overbearing. Now while we've been gone, you can see all the dust that was on the path there. This is where they've cut the original concrete path, because that will, from where Tucker is to back towards like where the dust is back to us, is all going to be ripped up. That's all going, and what I'm standing on now will eventually be pond, hopefully. So it's all going to go. You know, we've got some amazing. I've got some amazing plans, and I can't wait. I'm just like itching. Now this is one of the things I will say. Oh, actually, just before that, Tucker's now cutting the groove. All the lines have been put out, so we now know that we've got our square is accurate and it's in place and it's exactly where we need it to be. What Tucker was doing there was just cutting through the grass with the disc saw, and he's going through the back now. John's doing it through the back there, as you can see, and this just gives a nice clean edge. You know, years ago we'd have gone through with a spade and just cut it with a spade, but it's much better doing it like this. Cuts a lovely clean edge, and then when you fill in with your muck, obviously you get a nice square edge to your muck as well. So it's all nice little thoughtful little bits like that that really make life easy, and it's just interesting to see. As you can see, they're taking it all out and they're dumping it all down the front here at the moment. We are hoping that we will get that back in the hole and it will fill in some of the gaps and bits and pieces. So they're cutting through that now. As you can see, we've speeded this up somewhat, obviously, because otherwise we'd have ended up with around about 8 hours of filming to to show you. And let's be fair, you know, it's not all fantastically interesting, but you know, I thought a lot of you wanted to see it literally from the bare roots upwards, and so we are going to try and cover as much as we possibly can and explain a little bit about what's going on and why it's happening. And hopefully, you know, it'll give you a real insight into what's going on. So obviously we're in day 1 at the moment, and day 1 is all about setting your levels out, making sure your base is going to be square with your string lines and all that sort of stuff. And then what we're hoping to do is get the block in today, get the block work done, and it won't be long and they'll be making a start on that. So they're busy shoveling away here now. Now, as you can see now, the trees are all gone. We've still got the roots in the back. We need to cut them out. They're still there. And we got a little bit of trimming to do in that back tree. You can see there's a buddleia which is hanging over the garden. That needs to be cut back. That's not such a bad thing. Buddleias are very resilient plants, and they can take a huge amount of abuse. That being said, that one don't actually look very well. So I don't know whether it's our ground is so dry, but it looks like it could probably do with a good water. But we will cut that back, otherwise that will interfere with our roof, and we don't want that. Now it's tea break there. Always remember, if you're having any work done at work, keep the boys going with tea and coffee. Always keeps the work ethic going. I remember when I used to be on the landscaping and that, a cup of tea was very, very welcome throughout the day. Tucker taking a few photographs for himself there. Now you can get hold of Tucker on Facebook. He's on Facebook, Instagram, all of those. I will drop links in later videos. We'll pop some links in, and anyone in the local area around Southampton, Bournemouth, all the way out, I will find out exactly how far he travels out. But he travels a fair bit, and I highly recommend him. He's done nothing but good work for us so far, and I don't see any reason for that to stop. So now we've cleared the area, and this is something else that he's very good at. He tidies up as he goes, which is so nice. Me being a grab driver, I visit many jobs, and I'll be honest with you, some of them jobs are absolute hellholes, just purely because people don't tidy up behind themselves, and you're tripping over stuff all the time, and your bits and pieces get damaged, and it's not good. So it's a pleasant surprise to see a builder that actually is nice and clean and tidy. There you go. They've brought in all the insulation now. Now, one of the reasons we brought the insulation round the back is because it's not particularly safe out the front. As we said, you do get some shady characters floating around, and insulation is very expensive. So we took no chances. We brought it all round the back. Now, an interesting point here. We're just about to start laying the blocks now, so the insulation and everything is in. Now, an interesting point here is many of you might be asking, why didn't you do a concrete base? Why go through the hassle of laying blocks when we could have literally just done a concrete base? Well, the reason being is we have no rear access to our back garden. So all the access is through the house. Now, it's an absolute nightmare in many ways. So it basically meant that we couldn't really, well, we could have mixed up concrete outside by hand, excuse me, and we could have brought it round, barrowed it through the house. Now, we've not done any work indoors apart from lay carpets. And the reason being is purely because we knew we had all this building work to be done, and we didn't want stuff damaged in the process. So it made the whole job, we had to think about it in an entirely different way. And this is something that Tucker was very aware of, that we did have these issues of access, and he wasn't fazed by it at all. He was like, that's not a problem, we can get around that. And just his positivity has made this job really nice and pleasurable. As you see, I'm out there chewing his ear now, and we're just having a chat as we're going along. He's probably thinking, Dave, just bugger off and let me get on with this, because we've got a lot to do. But, he likes a natter as well as I do. So it's, I think he does anyway. But, it's difficult, When I used to do this work, I was itching to get involved. I just wanted to help and do bits and pieces, and, it just nagged at me. But by the same token, these are professional guys. They know what they're doing. They don't need me helping them, or getting in the way. So it was hard work to literally keep out of the way. I just had to go out and watch and see what they were doing. I love all this stuff. Anything that's creative, I just really enjoy it. And also as well, sometimes they do things slightly different to what I would have done in the past. And it's always nice to learn and see new ways and watch other people work and how they do stuff. It's so interesting. I find it fascinating. And if I was maybe just 10 years younger, I would love to get back into the landscaping. Unfortunately, what these guys done in a day probably would have took me the week. I would have imagined by the time I'd laid as many blocks as Tucker has laid here, what's he done? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's on his 6th one. My back would have been in bits. So this is another reason why I didn't do this job on my own, because it would have just taken so long. And it's, sometimes it's not always a case of not being capable of doing it. It's about the time frames involved. And also as well, I work full time as well. So it's, it would have been done on weekends and evenings and stuff like that. And it all becomes a real labour of love when it's like that, because you've not got any consistency to what you're doing. You're always having to race against the clock. So it made more sense just to get someone in who knew what they were at and could just do a really good job. Hence why Tucker and John are here. They will make this job that much easier and much more enjoyable for me as well in the long run. It's been a pleasure to sit back and watch them working away. Now, as you can see there, John's been having to bring the muck in by bucket every time. So, which is quite nice for him because he's doing all the labouring, which means that he's not rushing around like an absolute lunatic. trying to mix a barrel full, tip a barrel full, get going again. Gives him a little bit more time. Now, as you can see, we've jumped forward a little bit. Tucker's gone about 2/3 of the way, halfway round the thing now, and we're starting to see a little bit of a shape. You can see in the right hand corner there, he's set square. This is making sure that the actual brickwork is following true with the line, and we're still on course to being square. Very important that your corners are square, because if your base at the end is not square, your building that goes up will not be square either. So it's very, very important, and this is why we spent half a morning setting the string lines out and getting everything spot on. It is much better to spend time getting those things correct and getting these blocks correct, because that going forward will make the job easier as we go forward. It will make life so much better, and it will make our building that much stronger if it is in fact square. So it's very, very important that we get that correct. As you can see there, Tucker's leveling off every single one as we go through. He's doing a wonderful job. It's really, really pleasing to see a nice clear area. And you get a little bit of size now, a little bit of an idea of how the size is going to be, and what the overall aspect of it is. You'll remember when I done the video a week or so ago, just informing everyone that this is about to sort of take place. We stood in the garden and we had a little natter about some of the bits and pieces that we were hoping to do, and it was sort of cool to see the empty space, and then when the tree's gone it looked even bigger. Now it's building up, it's starting to shrink again, so it goes backwards and forwards as we go along. So it's very interesting to see how it changes. The aspects of it change. And here comes more of the blocks. There's not too many more to come in now. We're almost there. Now you see we've still got the pile of soil in there. That was left in there because we're hoping there is areas within this base that are actually quite low, and in other areas where the grass is almost up on the top. So the low areas, we can fill them in and get rid of it. Like I said, we are very, very dry, well-drained soil here, so we shouldn't have any issues with anything like that. It should be fine. Excuse me. So that is it, almost there. Yeah, we've got to cut another one. Now this is, we're here, what he's doing now, got the disc cutter out, and we're cutting a block literally in half lengthways, and as you see that, he just split that. Now that is because, as you can see, it's half the thickness of a normal block. So what he's done is that's going over the existing path. So where we are now, that is literally going to be made up with cement and then just put on top, and then we can level that off, and that'll all be lovely. And because it's already going onto a concrete base that's under there, that path is probably about 3 inches thick. It's not going anywhere. It's perfectly safe, and you know, it'll be just as strong as the rest of the blockwork. There we go, the last block going in, cutting it in, and there you go. He's in. He's just going to shore up now on the edge, because it's a rather deep bit there, so we just shore that up, check the square, absolutely perfect, and he is there. So that was day one, and this is day two, and it has been raining all morning. It has been quite torrential rain, pretty miserable, and yeah, not the best. And as you can see, it's a little bit darker. We had a heat wave last week, and now we got rain. Unbelievable. British weather. You can't bodge it, can you? So what we're doing now, I keep saying that royal we, what the guys are doing. I've had to come and film from upstairs in the house because of the rain. Just a slight drizzle out there. It's not put them off. They're still working away, which is good to see. And what we're doing now is Tucker's laying these small blocks, these like briquette things, and basically where they're running across in beams, this is going to be our floor bearers are going to sit on top of those. So they are level with our block work. And as you can see now, the soil's going back in between them. We can get rid of it. We can lose it in there. It's not going to be of an issue. That can all be lost back in there. Like I say, it's very, very hard and dry around here. Even in the winter, our ground was really, really good. We had no issues with it whatsoever. So he's literally going to bang all them through. So our floor joists, I cannot remember the distance apart. I think they were about 500 apart, if I remember correctly. I will find out for sure. They are measured, as you can see. Tucker measuring them now. He puts his string line across, measures the other side, make sure we get a square, get some through, and then that is going to be where we cut our new bedding. Now obviously the floor still needs to be cut out. So underneath where the string line is, that all needs to be removed, and then we can carry on. Now actually what they're doing there, they're going straight on top because this is a really deep part. So they're going to build up on top of that. It's in the shallow areas we needed to cut it out. That was my mistake. They're actually, yeah, it's deep enough there. It looked like it was shallow. But yeah, we're in a nice deep area. So they'll basically put a nice concrete bund all the way through there, and our blocks will be made on top. Notice how he's clearing up, tidying up, sweeping the bricks off as he goes. I really admire this with Tucker and John. They constantly cleaning up all the time as they're going along, sweeping everything off, keeping it nice and tidy. I'm a little bit OCD with that sort of thing, as you know, with my tanks and stuff. I like my glass clean. I like the plants to look nice. You know, all these things. To me, that's what makes it. And it's just so nice to see these guys with such a professional attitude to what they're doing and where they are. You know, they do a wonderful, wonderful job. Now, they're basically shooting through this. Now, we're almost at the end of the video for today, of seeing how far he's got. So it's not got much left in it now. We're just going to see where they put the last few bits in, the last few blocks, and then we will jump forward a bit to get in the very last ones in, and then we will have had all the floor area complete, getting ready for timber. The timber is where it starts to get exciting. That's what we like. We like the timber, the building side. So as you can see there now, actually from an aerial view, you can get an idea of how big this room is going to be. And we are still under regulations. But we're, you know, it's going to be a good size. It's lovely. Look at that. Putting the very, very last blocks in now. It just needs to cut that one. There we go. Bit of dust. There's the last block going in, and we are done for day 2. Well then, I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you're just as excited about watching this build as we are. So that was Monday and Tuesday, and so like 2 days work, and we've basically got the ground. We're out of the ground now. This is the ground structure done. Now our next stage is going to be all the woodwork, so we can actually put the wood flooring in, get the sides up, so on and so on and so on. So as we said in the video, we are going to try and cover as much of it as we possibly can, because I know many of you have requested that we actually see the whole thing rather than just bits and pieces. So we just jump from, you know, do a day, miss a few days, do a little bit more. We are going to try and document the whole thing as best as we can, and that will give you a real feel about what has gone into this actual project, because there is a huge amount of work, and it does take time, you know, and it needs to be done right. So we are going to cover as much of it as we physically can. Right then, well, I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget, if you're not sure, watch it again. Give it a thumbs up. And if you ain't subscribed, subscribe, because it all helps. Everything helps the channel. And we're looking forward to really showcasing this build. So then, don't forget, be calm, be gentle, and love your spider. And I'll see you very soon, guys.